All right. Welcome to the Dice Are Good Bad Storytellers. I am your DM for this session of Remalin. This is session 7, and I'm joined currently by Matt playing Kyle and by Maddie playing Kubo. And we come back to perhaps a gloomier setting than was before. There's been discovered some betrayal, whether intentional or not. Looks like we just got Josh in. Hello, Josh. Welcome to the table. We just started recording like 2 seconds before you joined. That's Josh playing Leopold.
Perfect timing.
What's up? You all good?
Yes. All good.
Okay, no worries. Well, I've got some stuff planned for you today, some stuff to kind of transition over from kind of this bad news. But after I'm done describing some of the setting, kind of the mood here, I'd love to hear what scenes you all want to do, and we can start there. If you have any in mind, and if not, we'll start rolling some dice to see who gets to go first here. Yeah, it's kind of a gloomier setting. The Kadros household is a little darkened by this news that Savage has beaten Kubo bodily and got him removed. There are a lot of unanswered questions, like why didn't they capture Leopold if he was such a big target and he was visible? Why didn't they do X, Y, and Z when it was such an easy opportunity to take advantage of that? There's just a lot of unrest. I think Deza is probably the one that's the most vocal about her upsetness. She's already had like several screaming matches with Peregrine that have kind of ended unpleasantly. When she was kind of unhappy. And so it's like there's been kind of this just intense energy in the household where clearly what was thought to be a very like everything is disclosed, everyone knows what's happening at all times is not the case. And there's a lot more mystery going on. And so, yeah, the city is still in unrest. There's more and more protests all the time. And there's a bit of news as well as some lore for the world that will, kind of make sense as we go through this. Let me turn off my notifications here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I just had to do that too.
Yeah.
Screw off, I'm playing D&D.
Oh, and for time expectation, I'm expecting this to be like 2.5 to 3 hours. It might be a little shy of 3 hours is kind of my anticipation. A good chunk shy, 2.5. But some bit of lore and knowledge about the world. There is an entity that is known for political governance, kind of in this magical setting and in this world. This is something that's it's public knowledge, but it's kind of like founding father knowledge. It's like stuff that is ancient and barely ever comes up, but when it does come up, it's a big deal. There is an entity called the constituent, excuse me. It's kind of like a chunk of several words together. And it's quite literally a living document. It's something that kind of every country that functions on the world creates. And it's basically like a warforged designed to enforce the internal politic of the country that is created. And it's kind of like every major country in the world creates one upon its formation. And they're very complicated arcane machines that are designed to reinforce the structure of the country itself. And so like they're legendary, they're incredibly powerful, they're considered indestructible as long because their like life force is tied to the country which they serve. And so as long as the country stands, the constituent stands. But they're not used in war. They're like used for internal regulation. And they only come up basically if there's like a military coup. And so in a place like Remalin, it never comes up really because it's a democracy. If anything happens, it happens according to the bylaws of the nation, And so it's like, if it's according to the law, if it's according to the due process of law, there's no reason it should be employed. But like, in somewhere like Torellin, where their laws are more like brutal and kind of arcane, and there's like a parliament and more like enforced rule of like kings, the constituent was basically just like an arm of the king's law that would just enforce his law bloodily on things. And like the first attempt of any coup would be to disable the constituent. And so like And so basically, it's one of those things that's like a joke thing, where it's like, oh, if you act too far out of line, if the senator acts too far out of line, then they're gonna get a visit from this terrifying thing, you know. But usually it's like, of course that wouldn't happen.
Judge Dredd, the Constitution edition.
Yeah, Judge Dredd Constitution. Yeah, but like it's kind of like a joke. But now, because this is such a clearly like an abuse of the bylaws of like the states trying to make divine entities illegal, there's a lot of calls from people like, okay, this should happen. This thing should be called out, or it should be activated, right? Like it should sense that its laws are being perverted and do this thing, but it hasn't. And so there's been all this like unrest, and there's been more public discourse about this thing.
Okay.
But that's just some lore, some kind of background stuff, because like as you guys are in this city and in this like little bubble of it, you guys are just seeing more of the nature and the law of the world around you kind of become more and more upset. So any scenes that you guys would like to have that you're like, I know I want this to happen, that you don't already anticipate is like gonna happen pretty quick here?
I mean, curious if I'm going to get brought into the loop on what Peregrine's wanting done here, and of course, obviously, the reckoning or whatever with Adleria right now.
I'm very excited about that as well. Yeah. Anything from Leopold or Kubo here? I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to say what's on their minds / what's going on.
I mean, for me, well, there are two things I want to do, but that would be like my own character situation. I don't know what Kubo's doing. I don't know if Kubo's gonna like, throw everyone together or something. Because then obviously I would follow Kubo.
You'd be following Kubo. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm not suspicious of what I'm doing. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
I think Kubo wants to talk to the team here and probably bring Deza in, because last time it was decided that Deza could come with us for this. And I think Kubo would be open and honest with all of you about basically what happened. Maybe like he's gonna leave out tactfully the bits and pieces about like the dramaticism, maybe with his dad or something. But like he just wants you guys to be on the same page with him. And like he said to his dad, he wants you guys to really trust him. And I think Kubo wants to talk and check in with Deza, but whatever works.
Okay. So we're gonna come to that scene. It sounds like you've kind of touched all the major points, but we'll have like a scene where everyone's together. I think we'll start with Kyle still at the casino, because I think that's a good place to start off, kind of the dramatic flow. But then immediately after that, we will have that meeting back at the town, the mansion. So you're at the casino table. It has been an upsetting day. You do not like things being out of control, and they have been a little out of control more than you'd like. And you get this neat little roll of parchment with this cute little bow on it. And it is clearly an invitation to Adleria to join her in her suite on the upper level of this casino that you're in. It seems that she found out you're down here and wants to have a quick parlay with you. Adleria is a enigma. She is frustrating. She's one of those kinds of people that every time she makes a plan, there are 4 backups at least, sometimes more. And so there are a lot of like, built-in redundancies in her plans. And it's one of those things where like, if it's her, it's already about 5 levels deep. And that's really frustrating, but you're just kind of used to it now. And you're probably one of the best in the world for kind of anticipating her nonsense. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would finish whatever I was drinking, and once again, as usual, just throw my chips across the table and go upstairs. Whoever's just the worse off, just here you go. And yeah.
Yeah, same situation. This time there's an older man, and he goes, ooh, like I gives a little like, hey. Table's
super out of place because I was being super mean to everybody like 10 seconds ago.
You're taking out your grumpiness on everyone at the table. You walk across the casino, flashing kind of these fluoron neon bulbs, beautiful kind of old glow to all of the electricity and magical energy here. And you get into this kind of simple elevator. It's like a very simple kind of arcane juiced thing that just goes up and down. You go up, the attendant's there, like outside of the elevator. He asks what floor, he gives you the floor, you go up. And as you walk down the hallway, you can tell this is one of the nicer suites in the area, and that it is actually, the room was rented out under the Corin household name. And so she's been using that name to make the reservations and be there. But they're wealthy enough that like it could be, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's someone from the household there.
Okay. Probably, take a couple seconds in like, a mirror or something along the wall, and, straighten my hat and everything like that. And I guess I just go up and knock.
Amazing. You go up and knock. After you knock, it's maybe like 30 seconds. She comes out. She was clearly in a bath. She's thrown over a shawl, just barely keeping herself decent. The shawl just goes like just beneath her knees. It's very obviously kind of risque. She's still wet from the bath. She goes, "Lovely for you to join me, Kyle."
What the hell have you been up to?
Oh, so many things, Kyle. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in. It's been so long. She opens the door.
Okay. I come in and immediately start checking corners.
Yeah, roll me a perception check for sure. She comes in, she's like, "Just give me a moment. I'm going to get into something a little more proper." She goes into the restroom, you can hear her kind of like drying off and everything. She comes out wearing like a shawl, kind of tight dress that is almost as revealing as the previously applied bathrobe. She is gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She's got like billowing brown brunette locks, very like sharp features, and she's like just well proportioned. Sorry.
She just got a nice infusion of youth.
Yeah. I mean, there might be some like silliness to it because she's got 30 more years of life and she's clearly living them. She's living it up. But yeah, what'd you get on that perception?
13.
Nothing jumps out at you. It looks like, yeah, she might have like a gun or two stashed in here. She might have a couple like backup plans or like a recorder or two.
Well, I know she does. I'm just making sure there's not like actual thugs.
Yeah. It looks like it looks like if she does have thugs, and she very well could, they're not in the room.
I imagine at some point she probably like actually straight up like kidnapped me and turned me in for the bounty and then rescued me or something right before it, like.
There's a lot of that. So yeah, she comes back out. She goes, "It's lovely to see you again, Kyle. It looks like you're a little worse for wear, maybe getting a little older in your pursuits at the casinos, maybe." Is that rude to say?
Well, I mean, I'm not getting younger in my pursuits at casinos.
Fair point. She brings out like kind of like a piece of paper. She kind of sits across this little area from you. She offers you something to drink. She's very clearly pours herself some and then you from the same bottle, try and show some good faith.
Okay. Yeah, I drink it.
Okay. She drinks along with you. She kind of appreciates the show of good trust here. And finally she goes, "Well, Kyle, now that pleasantry are over, what the hell? What are you doing? Why are you working with the circle?"
Me, what the hell? You, what the hell?
Me, what the hell?
Trying to fucking kill Boone?
Boone? Boone wanted to participate, and I thought they needed another player, and I let him join. He was getting old.
You're good enough at cards to manipulate that goddamn game. You didn't need to.
All right, look, sometimes the cards come up, and it's like, do I want 15 years, or do I want to take a blow and take away 15 years from him? I thought that was it.
You could have folded, given up the ante. A year's nothing. You're a full elf.
Boone. She kind of like looks very surprised. Like, roll me like an insight check on that. I'll say like even with that.
Oh, nat 20.
Nat 20.
I'm inside the matrix.
She is kind of spooked that you knew well enough about her abilities as well as cards to know that, because like there was clearly a moment where you're right, like she could have just like given up her ante and let Boone like be in the game longer, and she got greedy and was just like, nah, I'm gonna stay in this, and so like she kind of is like shocked that you knew that, and now that same shock is going into other stuff, and she's like, do you know what Peregrine is planning? Do you know like what? Well, the card game doesn't matter.
I mean, there was someone that a like 10-year-old almost died because of it, but sure, yeah. Nothing happened.
Look, I knew about the 10-year-old. That was Bartholomew Corin.
I know you're working with the Corins.
It was an elvish child. The worst that happens is you lose about 50 years. He's got so many of them. I would have taken care of him.
Yeah, can you even imagine the psychological damage that would happen to a kid that suddenly aged up 50 years?
Life is trauma. Growing up is trauma. Children experience trauma. I'm not going to change
that doesn't mean that you go out of your way to inflict it on new children. We don't pass our shit down. We break the cycle, Adlaria.
She takes the glasses, like puts them into the side table. She goes, there are other cycles I'm trying to break. There are reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not just wantonly partying, although it looks like that. I understand. She looks mad. She just, like, I'm going to keep carrying with that nat 20 there. She is flustered and she is angry because you're calling her out on totally reasonable things that she's been working very hard to compartmentalize and be chill about. And so she's very mad. She's like, you don't get this. You don't know what's happening all the way, but you do know some things that I want, and that's why I called you up here. And she's just really going through this emotional thing.
All right, well, tell me why you think all this is justified. What cycle are you trying to break?
She actually walks to one of the corners of the room, pulls out like a small recording device, and like you can with like that insight/arcane stuff, she's modifying it so that it will just come up blank. Basically, she's like making this spot of the recording go dark for whoever's going to be reviewing the recording afterward. Torellin is vying for more of a position in Iala, and they are doing everything in their power to do so. The Corin household is part of that, and that's why there are dwarves running around. That's why there are all these forces blowing up prisons and something to do with the college, which I don't know why they did that or how that happened. But the Fare family and the Torellin dwarves, the ones from Iagrin, they're making plays, they're doing things while everyone's just sitting around enjoying the glut of the war. I'm trying to get on the inside and make sure that when the Iagrin dwarves raise up again, there aren't as many deaths, there aren't as many wars. Like, I'm getting older, Kyle, and I don't want to spend my time in a casino.
You're really not getting. Why do you think the the circle is involved with Remalin messing with Iala.
She
Everything I see seems to be the opposite.
so you say that it should be the opposite, right? It should be opposite, that they want that neutrality. She goes, well, that's what I thought as well. And then one of the children of Peregrine defects to the Iagran dwarves' forces. So you tell me what that says about their plans.
Well, that's one of the children. That's not the circle itself. We don't know the full details going on there.
You don't know the details of because I will tell you personally, he's royally fucked my plans. I was working on developing this relationship with the Corin household and then developing the dwarves. Suddenly he shows up, he joins their forces, and they're gone. The dwarves have left Iala. They've
We're
returned.
getting older, right? I don't think your plans have ever been royally fucked. Where's plan B or C? D.
She laughs and kind of like glows for a moment, like, just kind of like, yes, that's right.
Preening.
Yeah. She kind of sits back and she goes, well, I did purchase this room with Corin household funds, so you can tell I'm not completely out of the loop.
Yeah. But you were involved with the circle to some degree too. What are you planning? What are you trying to do to stop these dwarves? Because we might have a common enemy there.
I have been working to develop a central role with the Iagran dwarves' position here in Yala, and I haven't been successful. It's taken much longer than I'd like. And frankly, the spot that I was vying for through wooing the Corin forces, luring the Corin family, was just taken by this Aasimar upstart, this Aasimar gangster. And frankly, I'm terrified for him because I was going to go through the ringer, indoctrination, all that stuff. He's not even entirely mortal, and they are going to put that boy through the ringer. Torture, and he thinks that he just defected over, but they do not just let people join their ranks without a pretty serious screening process.
And my face kind of goes like intentionally blank there for a second, thinking about what I do know about the potential brainwashing attempts from the past.
Let me see. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I know that Llewellyn reached out to you recently. We're on very good terms. We have our every month or so we play some cards together, get together. She has a lovely daughter. Love that dragon. But I know that she has been paid. I know that she has been paid or has been offered quite extensive funds for your capture.
Yeah, that's why I've been checking the corners.
She goes, we've done that one too many times. At this point, I think people don't offer money for you because they know I'm going to get it and they're not going to get you. So yeah, I think so just because, this is really fun, kind of like playing back and forth and we're sharing more and more information. I think at this point, she feels like she's gotten what she wants out of you. I'm actually going to roll an insight check just to like simulate. Yeah, she feels like she's confirmed a lot of the things that she already thought about what she knew about you and what you were doing. And she's like satisfied that things are figured out. You know what I mean? She's satisfied that like she knows what's going on with you and what's going on with the circle to the extent that she needs to know. The more that you want.
Did you want me since she rolled an insight, did you want me to roll a deception about my lie about not knowing about him defecting? Or
yes,
not knowing?
Actually, that'd be great.
I lied about it. I didn't say anything about
for sure.
20 total.
Yeah. I'm gonna say with that nat 20 insight, you've got her on the ropes, and you can kind of tell everything that's going through her heads. And so, like, Adlaria is a very complicated, nuanced person, and you have a lifetime of dealing with her.
Yeah.
And so, like, you can tell, like, she believes your lie that you don't know what's going on, but that for her, that just confirms to her that you aren't as embroiled as she was worried that you are. She like thought that you were like more central, and now you've convinced her that no, he's basically just like a gambler with a circle poker chip. Like he doesn't know any more than what he did before, basically. And so, yeah, unless you want to plant information that like she can use incorrectly, or unless you want to try and get more information out of her, I think she's kind of giving signals that like the conversation is over. Like she's tidying things up and everything.
What? Do you have any way to contact the Iodrins?
I do through the Corin household mainly, as they provided them.
Do you have any way to contact them that won't necessarily trace back to you?
Oh, honey, yes, of course. I mean, it'll trace back to someone in the Corin household, but it's easy. They're completely rich dunces. They don't.
Yeah, I'm not particularly overly worried about what happens to them. I'll be needing some of that info.
Oh, we're trading now. You want information from me?
Yes, quid pro quo, Clarice.
So what do I want for information? She kind of walks around pacing. She is definitely preening. She's definitely just kind of.
I'm totally used to it. I'm just sitting here like waiting for
Amazing.
Put her a little gloating and ask her damn question.
I think I want to get my little casino boy off the bench. So I'll get you your information. I'll get you your curiosities so you can keep playing patty cake with more of your information brokers like Llewellyn. But I want you to get a higher position with the circle. You have good touch with Peregrine. I don't have a good contact there. Why don't you become a little closer with him?
I suppose I can do that.
Of course, I get the information. Tell me his most recent plans, his big upstart plans, whatever those happen to be.
Well, his most recent plan was to stop his son from defecting.
I'm gonna need you to roll me another deception on that one. I think that deserves a fresh roll because that's a.
I don't know his next plan. I wasn't there for that.
That's fair, but I think that's pretty big.
25.
Okay. There is a very tense 4 seconds where she looks at you, and like there's a moment where you're like, oh no, I'm got. But then she calms down a little bit, or like the tension breaks, and she goes, then that is the dumbest person alive. If they went into if they went and joined the Ogren Dwarves without a backup plan or any sources, that child is dumb. Is very dumb.
He's not. I don't know. He's a great conversationalist.
Yeah. I think I don't want to like ruin this moment because I think this is a great conversation. But I think that's about the majority of what you're going to get from her.
She did give me some like contact info or something for the.
Yes. Basically, she's like she's going to get you their next plans for the future, and she's going to negotiate that. Basically, she's going to deduce it from like military orders, weapon orders, things like that. Like she's going to kind of do some legwork for you.
Okay.
But there's nothing to report right now. And she says basically like part of whatever the deal that this savage worked out is that they're pulling out. Like they aren't going to do anything on Iala for a couple months. Like the Ogren dwarves are basically like chilled out. They are scared. They know that Peregrine is doing something, and nobody really knows what it is. And like the Fare family, like we've said, like they enslave mortals. And Peregrine is the definition of not a mortal. Peregrine is someone they cannot touch, and a lot of his children they cannot touch reliably. And so there's a lot of that stuff going on. So they're kind of like, we're approaching this very delicately. We've got big plans, but he's the wild card.
All right. Well, I assume I'll be seeing more of you. Do you have a? Will you be? I assume you'll be gone 5 minutes after I'm out the door. Is there a way I can contact you?
She says like, just send a invoice to the Corin household with just some sort of pink mark on it. I'll know that you want it.
All right. Sounds good.
I don't want to make this too blue, but I think that there's kind of a general patent expectation from her that not like sexual, but like that you guys have done that in the past, and there might be a moment of like, are we too old for this now? And there's kind of like this awkward, like as you're leaving energy of like,
Yeah, there's probably go to leave and then close the door and turn back around.
And we fade to black.
Yeah, we'll do it that way.
Good for Kyle. You know what? Good for you. Hold that for him.
I mean, if I didn't comment on it, it would just be like a big drop ball. I mean, it's the setting, right? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, Kyle leaves a little more disheveled than he entered, for sure. Yeah, you descend the casino maybe a couple hours later. Hours might be strong, but yeah, a long time. Yeah, your that
Constitution check.
Constitution check, brutal. Yeah, so maybe we'll say that this is the next day. People have gotten some time to sleep or recreate as their will is. And this is the next day with Kubo, and there's kind of this like meeting, and there's like a waiter or a butler in the corner, Kubo, Kyle, and Leopold, and then Deza, and I think that's everyone that's kind of in this little powwow around some like coffee cake and coffee.
Okay. So first of all, I want to say some things about Kubo. He looks pretty disheveled. He's like not even wearing a tie. It's kind of like the loose, I don't know, businessman look. And he's dip dyed his braids so that there's like this really dark blue, like so black hair, and then the ends are like this really dark royal blue.
I get to picture you and Deza doing stuff.
Yes. No words, just we both dyed our hair last night to cope. It's fine.
Well,
Oh damn.
So we're all just
really just don't know what inconspicuous means, do you?
I think Kubo's just gonna look at you, and then like he gives you like this look of like you're not even worth it. Anyways, so he goes back to everyone. He's like, so it's been a couple of days. Here's the deal. My father and my mother and Savage had planned what happened to happen, and they planned not keeping me or Deza in the loop, and we're pretty salty about that, if you cannot tell. Here's the deal. Going forward, I've been asked to take on a task that is very serious and potentially will, all of us, depending on what we do, impact the country, hopefully for good. But before we go into this, I just want to say, I know, and he looks at Kyle, and he's like, Kyle, I know that you and I haven't always seen eye to eye. I think, I don't know, you remind me of like a grandpa or an uncle I never had. I appreciate you, though.
That's kind of winces.
I am so much younger than your dad.
Looks at Leo. Looks at Leo. Leo, you're a friend. And even though me and my family were really messed up and weird, and we kind of almost kidnapped you at first, I really appreciate you sticking around. And don't get me wrong, Kyle, I appreciate you sticking around, but we did kidnap him, kind of. Well, not, and I'm
No, you
imagining that
did.
Deza is kind of giving people this, like, we're done. So, anyways, despite what we've gone through, I want us to be able to trust each other in this room. I mean, it points to the butler, you too, I guess, but mainly us here.
He comes and like takes the platters from the coffee cakes, like mistakes the symbol as like, oh, you want me to?
And then Kubo has this like panic on his face. He's like, whatever, okay. But then he's like, no, he's like, I really just want you guys to be able to trust me. So if any of you don't want to be as involved or like, boundaries, please just let me know now. But I really want to be able to be truthful with you guys and let you know what's going on and what I need or expect of you. Because also you guys have done so much in supporting me. I died twice. Thank you, Leo. Thanks, Kyle. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to die anymore. Crazy, I know. So just real quick, does that sound good to everyone? Like, we in this to win this?
I intend to keep an eye on the kid one way or the other. So yeah, I'm in this for at least until this crisis is resolved.
Okay.
Well, I'm in this to win this as I'm eating the coffee cake.
Yeah. Amazing. When you say that, Kubo kind of like smiles. He's like, yeah. And he looks like, okay, well, that's good. Enjoy your coffee cake. Real quick. So the thing is, I forgot real quick, Jake, I'm out of character. What is the senator's name? I forgot his.
I always say either Peterson or Anderson, and I think I've said both.
I'm just gonna stick with Anderson. Okay,
First and last name.
I thought I
maybe his name is Peterson Anderson. I'm just
Peter
gonna...
Anderson.
Yeah.
Anderson Peterson.
Yeah.
Anders Peterson.
This is a Mandela effect.
Oh,
But yeah, so Kubo's like, yeah, so
Peterson.
Okay. So basically we've been tasked with convincing Senator Peterson to not vote to kick out all the divine people in Yala, which heavily influence. We're probably gonna have to kill him.
Oh.
Yeah, we're gonna assassinate the guy.
I was about to be like insight check because I knew that was not quite accurate.
Well, I can just see him kind of like and then he's just like, yeah. So
I'm gonna take a guess and say that your father just straight up said to kill him.
I don't actually remember. Is what Kubo says too.
Yes.
So
Question mark.
So yeah, there's this moment of I think what's funny is Kyle can intuit that better than Kubo can remember what actually happened, which is a very funny thing. But I also I just love Leopold's like archetype. He's such like the tragic torture / like he's just like the harmless
Hungry and give me food.
The harmless kid like holding a bomb. Like I can just totally picture him like harmlessly eating coffee cake.
Yeah, he just lived his best life. I love that.
Yeah, I say whatever gets me what I want. That's what I'm going with so far.
Nice for him. Yeah.
There is kind of this like Geralt and Ciri kind of dynamic. I feel like in some way of just like this kid's problematic.
Right.
But you can't kill it.
So we've got a handful of different directions to go here. There are like 3 other scenes roughly that we kind of want to visit at, maybe 4. Do you guys want to roll for it, or how do you want to proceed here? Okay.
Yes.
CC.
So we'll do 1 or 2 Kubo, 3 Leopold, and then 4 back to Kyle. It's 4, which is interesting. I guess it's the Kyle intro this time around, but that's all good. Get all that out of the way. this is like a couple days later. This is probably like another 4 days will pass as you guys are collecting the supplies you need, collecting the intel you need. And there's a lot of different stuff going on. Peterson is a high priority target, and he is a deep hiding. So there is like a lot of misinformation out there. There are a lot of people that like will reach out to you, Kyle, and be like, yeah, I've heard a rumor that they're getting, shuffled over here or there. And you've only you basically had to ignore everybody, because if they're reaching out to you, they're probably being told to give you misinformation. But you are able to get more clear information from your fake military contacts from when you pretended to be, this dude. But the scene that I want you to do, actually, or that I want to give you, is the mind reader arrives. The mind reader finally gets time to come down at the appointed time. It is a very, very old man, very obviously smoking a pipe. He's has very thick white and gray hair that used to be extremely, extremely thick and now has become thinner and thinner and thinner. And he's just kind of picture an old elven man, an old guy at a New York pastrami shop. And that is what he looks like. He's just
All right.
And he kind of sits there. He's got this magical divining table. And as he walks in, he's like, "Oh, the cash is gonna be in the suitcase as I leave. Is that right?" Peregrina's like, "Yeah, you're all set, man. We got you taken care of. It's all established." He goes, "Yeah, it's great, man. That's great. Okay." Yeah. He sits down. He's very particular. He wipes the dust off the table. Says, "Hey, are you my target? You who I'm kind of doing this deep dive on?"
Yes.
Any specific requests?
Should we go somewhere more private, or
You guys are in the parlor room of the mansion. There's a giant open window next to it. He's like, "Do we want to do that?" He's like, "Yeah, we can do that."
Okay, yeah, let's go to my workshop.
You
There's a
guys
box
go-
in the corner. Don't touch it.
The box in the corner. Don't touch it. You guys get into the garage. You guys set up a little place to sit down. He kind of looks at it. He's like, "Man, this is nice. You're a professional. Okay, I can respect that."
Well, thanks. I hope you are too.
Yeah. I can get a little peek into your mind without even getting there. Ain't that right? Okay, let's shut up. He puts,
Old people jokes.
he puts his hands out, and he asks, "Do you have any special requests? Anything you specifically want to look at?"
I have some repressed memories being interrogated or something by dwarves, Torellan dwarves, when I was younger. I don't remember much beyond a voice and just a dangling light.
Voice, dangling light, children. Okay.
Couldn't have been very old.
Could have been very old. Okay. Are we talking 5, 6, kind of prior to memory formation?
That would likely be my guess.
Okay. All right.
7. That would be about when I ended up in Eala rather than Torellan.
Right. He takes a long drag, just puts out his hands, blows it to the side, and you know that you're not going to consciously experience anything he's delving through, but you've had your mind read, maybe not this deeply, but yeah, you willingly fail the save to kind of get your mind read. He delves into your mind.
Sitting there trying super consciously not to think of anything weird or disturbing, and then the fact that he's delving into there, makes it really hard. Don't think of anything weird. Don't think of anything weird. Oh shit! Ah!
Yeah, there's a lot of
your discipline not to just sit there, just chanting Pink Elephant to himself mentally as a mantra to just.
There's a wry moment where his eyebrows go up, and you recognize it immediately when you think about your night yesterday with Adlaria, and then it passes, and he's a professional. He's good. You start to experience a lot of weird things, or it's like your memory triggers are going off, but it's like only the weird parts of it, like the weird taste of something you forgot, or like a weird smell, or like these like keynote parts of memories that are so old you don't know what they're connected to.
This isn't giving me this isn't going to give me a stroke, is it?
He kind of mummers like, nah, if anything, it's going to be a stroke. Yeah, and he's just kind of going through. At a certain point, he starts to like jerk a little, like seriously, like he just kind of like, and he's kind of like grunting and stuff. And finally, it's like you guys are sitting there. It's like an exercise in patience. Like it's a good like 30 minutes. And Peregrine is just kind of standing over to the side, kind of with his fist in his hand, and just kind of analyzing the situation, very like kind of just nodding, looking at it. It's clear he's very impressed. Like this guy he got is the real deal. Finally, the guy releases your hands. And like there's like red coming into his eyes, his like sclera and everything. He looks very like drained. He goes, that was one of the harder ones I've done in a while. So you're right. You have definitely been coded to do certain things upon certain requests. But they were very clever, and they did something magically, but not magically to you. They magically conditioned you. So he kind of like takes a second to explain it. Basically, it's like they didn't enchant you, but using magic, they gave you incredibly intense like sensory experiences. And so like they conditioned you using magical sources.
Is that a magical version of the chair from Clockwork Orange?
Yes, that's a perfect way to describe it. It's like they use the magic to make the conditioning faster and more intense, but the actual conditioning is just your brain. There's no actual magical effect on you. And the other thing he says is, you were trained. You are a fighter. You know how to punch and hit better than probably many people out there. They're kind of locked in there, like it's kind of like but like you're competent. You can probably stun somebody. You can probably do a lot of those things once you're called on. It's kind of like it's packaged in that same conditioning.
Do you know what can you tell me what the trigger is? Can you?
Well, that's the problem. Is it's like these huge, giant, magical like explosions of thought. They work on the subconscious, so I can't consciously pick out the individual phrases. But I've done these enough times, and I've seen this before. Believe it or not, because the Ogren's a mess, but Forellin's a mess. But I can tell you that there are 4 triggers. There are 4 different phrases. Once they're used, you're probably going to remember all that training, at least one of them. And that'll be great for you because that's just training you have. It's just locked up. It's like your body remembers it, but you don't. But like,
any way you can unlock that training now without the actual triggers?
Unfortunately, we need the triggers. Like I said, this isn't magical. This is just your brain. Like this is brain chemistry stuff. Like, if I sat here and read your mind for like 3 days and experienced all that magic, conductive stuff that you got in like a short span, and I like parsed it out, then yeah, I could get you a trigger. But we'd be here for 3 days, and there's no way Peregrine's going to be paying me that much. And so it's kind of like a feasibility thing. It's like, yeah, I could do that, but like you got 3 days to burn.
Well, could we do it in a few marathon sessions spread out over the next however long, or would it have to be done all together?
He's like, if I took really, really good notes, but like, kid, look, it's just gonna be better for everybody if you just accept that you're gonna have to grit your teeth and be ready to hear some weird stuff if ever you're working with the Yagran people, and you gotta be prepared. I mean, it's possible for you to resist it. It's not like a sure thing. Like they can't. That's impossible, even with magic. Like you're gonna have the ability to like have a chance to expect it coming and resist it. But like this was like your whole childhood, dude. The first 5 years of your life was getting programmed. So like, Peregrine's kind of standing off to the side, and you can tell that he's verifying everything that he says, and that lines up with his much more extensive knowledge of like, life experience, times where he studied brain chemistry stuff. Like, Peregrine's a very experienced person. And so basically it's like, I'm sorry I can't tell you more than that. Your mother seemed to be a lovely lady. I'm so sorry you lost her. You you had a rough. You had a rough.
Well, no use complaining about it.
He just kind of randomly, like, just to like make you feel better, like pancakes, upside down twirly whirl, flippity floop, scrubble dinkages. And he just says, those are some of the phrases I caught while I was kind of going through the conditioning thing. You don't feel weird or nothing?
Hold on. I'm gonna write down the like phonetic dwarven translation of those words, and I'm just gonna be like, say it again.
Say it again. He says them again in Dwarvish. I actually have written down the phrases, and so I'm just gonna double check real quick. And I'm just gonna roll like a D100 here, and we're gonna see if you get anything lucky here. Yeah, he rattles them off. You don't feel anything weird. You feel pretty safe.
Do you think it's possible that they're triggered by a specific person's voice, or
I think it's just a phrase,
accompanied by some sort of artifact or chemical?
My guess is it's just a phrase. My guess, I mean, there might be like a smell associated with it because those are really strong mentally, but it's probably just a phrase, a handful of words in a certain order.
Okay.
Hey, I just want to reassure you. I've met a lot of people like this, some of them in high political places. It's probably never going to come up. Really. Like, plenty of people have gone through this conditioning because the Yagran's a mess of a place. Like, unless you go hunting down some of the Yagran.
You just read my mind.
What?
I said, you just read my mind? You know that you know what I've gone through? Do you really think that's how this is going to play out for me?
He's like, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Thank you for your time anyway, sir.
Hey, thank you. He leaves, takes the briefcase, and he goes. Yeah, so now you know that there are 4 phrases, and that, yeah, you have training as well. Sorry for everybody that was so Kyle heavy in the beginning. I just, the dice said what they said,
We love a Kyle arc.
Let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to roll again for where we're going here.
Does Peregrine say anything at the end of that scene?
He kind of gives you some reassuring words in general. It sounds like he's kind of the same opinion as the mind reader. Like, he's like, the chances that it comes up, the chances that it becomes a problem are pretty slim. Like, you'd have to meet someone that was high enough in the Yagran order to know that you had been, you know what I mean, to know that any of the phrase words, like, it'd have to be kind of the perfect storm. And so he doesn't think it's going to be a problem. If it is, it's going to be way later on than now. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of one of those situations. So, like, he can tell, like, he agrees with you that it's probably going to come up, but like, by then it might not matter, or it might have to be the perfect scenario, and it won't matter if it's not the perfect scenario. Like he's not worried. He trusts you. He trusts that you're thinking, and he knows that this doesn't like take away your free will. Okay, we got a 2, so that will make it Kubo, and then we will do Kubo, Leopold, and then possibly flick back to Kubo, because Leopold has a very large scene here. So Kubo, you have your ritual of power. Suzanne, who is kind of this, I believe I made her a tiefling before, very tatted up. Yeah, she's a very tatted up person. She kind of does the tattoos for the family whenever they want to become more powerful as paladins. She gives you some tattoos while you're like sitting in the blood, and they're like just a couple more lines, a couple more filaments and filigree kind of added to your designs, and that is what makes you a level 7 a paladin. Deza watches from this, and she's like kind of sitting on like a pool chair, effectively a ways over, and it's like late evening. The sun's starting to set. And it's like she's kind of doing this in the waning moments of the night, and your father is kind of sitting in the pool, kind of not engaged. He actually seems to be doing like a day nap, because he's like he needs to be.
His angel form, like are some of his eyes closed and some of them open on his body? That would be so funny to me.
Some of the little eyes are like lolling opened and closed. He's very like unconscious, and Deza's just looking on, and she goes like,
is Suzanne almost done, or like?
Yeah, we'll say Suzanne is approaching her doneness. She's a consummate professional. She's like very just kind of doing it quick, getting out of there, getting her paycheck.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Kubo, real quick, like I guess as she's finishing up, and he's like, I feel like there's a couple of moments where like he and Deza make eye contact, and I mean I feel like because they've lived around each other, they can both tell I think that they want to talk, but it's kind of like a hold on, and I think actually Kubo will be like, and then like look at their dad in a way kind of like just wait. But as they finish up, he's gonna tell Suzanne, incredible work as always. Thank you very much. It's to admire it. Not to be a downer, but I know the political situation is not good for Fines and Infernals. I just want you to know, I'm sure my father or mother or someone already said this, but if you ever need anything, please feel free to come get help, okay?
She's like, yes, of course. Your father, even though he is an angel, probably more evil than me or many demons. So good with me.
He just, thank you, shakes her hand.
She stands up, puts away like kind of the needle gun and everything. She walks over to your father actually, and kind of taps him on the shoulder. Goes, oh, I am all done. Thank you so much. And he leaves. He's just, okay. He kind of looks at you two. Kind of has this moment where his eyes goes wide. Good evening. Enjoy the new tattoos.
Thanks. Thank you, father.
He gets up, towels off, and leaves.
Yeah, cool. So just Days and I. Okay, good. Kubo looks at Days and he's like, honestly, I thought we would have to leave, so blood pool to ourselves. Splashes.
Yeah, blood pool to ourselves. Dad clearly didn't want to talk to us there at all, right? I'm not just imagining that.
He like motions her to come here, and like maybe they're both now sitting on the edge of the blood pool, and he's just like, so they're talking. He's speaking in Celestial to her, whether it matters or not. But he's like, did Mom mention what happened to Milo to you?
Yeah, I kind of heard about that. She said it's not as bad as we think, but I think it's pretty bad. So he beat you up.
Oh, that. Yeah, I mean, no, that's Alexander. No, sorry. But Farrell. I mean.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Fine. It's been a long. Oh my god.
She mentioned the broad strokes. I mean, I knew I knew that they were in contact. Like I didn't know he was like still working for Dad. I knew that they kind of like did something to keep in contact with Callie.
That is so good. I thought he was dead. I didn't even know that.
No, he is dead. He's in hell. But
No,
like,
I know, but I didn't even know. Like, he explains more. Like, I thought that he was just gone. I don't know.
there's this moment where Deza is like, I don't think they tried to keep that a secret from you. I think they just fully forgot to tell you. Like,
Right. But here's the deal. We grew up close to. I love you, Daisy. You know that. And I feel like we're really close because we were like the youngest. Whatever. Things are just getting a little bit more intense now, and I just want you to know I'm going to always try to be honest with you. I don't know if you heard when Father and I were arguing, but I did tell him basically this probably has to do with his mood. That if he didn't start trusting us more, there's a very good potential that we boundaries and respect and things. At the end of the day, we're not just gangsters, we're family. Like, why should we be a part of a family that isn't trusting us or treating us that care, love? Okay, not trying to be weird, Days. I'm just saying, like I died twice. He fucking and he just starts kind of freaking out a little bit.
she kind of like lets you kind of rage a little bit here. She's like, well, yeah, we're family, you're right, but like we're gangsters too, like you said, and like that works in one way and it works in the other. You can't expect the mob boss of a gang or even like a company to tell all of their underlings everything all the time. Like, there are secrets, there are more complicated things, and like I get that, but I'm the same with you. Like, I think we need to be told more, especially now that you're official. I mean, I'm not official. I should be no less than you, but like you're Grudge. You've got your name. You're established. You should know more.
He looks at the pool again for a minute. He's like, I don't think I'm Grudge anymore. Just call me Kubo. That's okay. Unless like we're in front of like dwarf baddies. Then call me Grudge.
Yeah. Call you Grudge. Okay.
You do deserve this, Days. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. More. I love to kill people. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Like, he was like, I love to, like, he's like, I love retribution and like, yeah, killing bad people and things. He's just like, sometimes, I don't know. We have all this power, but what is it worth if we don't actually do things together?
Hey, I get what you're saying. Here's my feeling.
I'm 23. You can talk. I'm sorry. This is like a sibling treatment. I'm so sorry.
You're older than me. You're older than me. It's okay. It's a sibling hierarchy and stuff. Here's what I think.
We've spent our lives doing this, and at some point, like, I don't know.
At some point, I agree. Here's how I think about it. We're family and we're mobsters. At some point, we either are family and not mobsters, or mobsters and not family. I don't think those two things can be true all the way. I want to be your family. I don't think I want to be a family for Peregrine. I think I just want to be a mobster for him.
Well,
but
valid.
It's fucking dumb. She like smacks the water, kind of like starts to walk away. Like, this is bullshit. She just kind of starts to disengage and starts to leave.
Okay. Kubo's just gonna kind of hunch over, I guess, like elbows and things. He's just gonna kind of look at the pool, and he's just gonna ponder a bit.
Yeah, roll me a perception check. You can do this with advantage as you're doing that.
Thank you much. Where's my thing? How about an 18?
You hear a large crash as what you think is a window is broken somewhere in the house, and then you hear a very immediate silence effect go off, as if someone is trying to silence some sort of discussion.
I'm up. I'm just gonna run towards Deza.
Okay, you're up. You run towards Deza. Deza has heard it as well. Actually, I'm going to double check that. She has not heard it. You put your clothes on, you kind of get wet, the little dress, run over to her. She's like, "What the? Whoa, hey, calm down. What's going on?"
Somebody's here?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Who are we talking to? Is this Daza or my dad?
Yeah, you're talking to Daza.
Okay, well, thanks for 5 seconds. I was like, what? Kubo, just real quick, is gonna let her know, like, we need to case the joint, and they're gonna case, or he's gonna start heading out with the
Yeah. Roll me a perception check. I'll roll one for her as she cases the stuff.
case the
Weirdly,
joint.
the waiters and the butlers aren't moving, even though you can tell some of them heard the noise. What'd you get?
I only got a 7.
You guys are exploring. Daza comes over to you and like calls you over, and she's like, "You're gonna want to hear this." You guys walk over to like the study, and you can see where the window is broken. And as you walk in, you pass through like an invisible barrier of silence effect, and you can hear Ariana and Peregrine like in a full-on yelling match. They are angry and like spitting and calling each other names, and they are freaking out at each other. They are full-on like almost screaming match.
What
And
are
you
like
can
they
start.
saying?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna fully improvise a screaming match between two parents. So, but I'm gonna give you like the broad strokes of what they talk about. Basically, they're fighting over Savage. Uh, Ariana thinks it was a horrible idea that Peregrine shouldn't have allowed it to happen, and Peregrine keeps saying like it was his idea. I couldn't stop him from doing it. I gave him all the tools he needed to take care of it, but like I just used what advantage I was given by my son acting out, and that's on him. And she's like, no, that's not on him. You needed to be his parent. This is not like you needed to take care of him in this case. I don't care that he's 25. I don't care that he's a mobster. Like there's a lot of this kind of bickering back and forth.
Do Daza and Kubo have like that like moment where they both look at each other like, oh no, mom and dad are I feel like throughout their life, like they've only heard their parents fight like a couple of times, sort of.
Yeah, this is definitely like count on one hand. This is like the second or third time you've ever heard them raise their voice at each other.
So Kubo's gonna look at Daza and then he's like, we should leave, right? We should go. We should go.
You can go. I'm not fucking going. This is gold. She's like, she wants to keep listening. After a while, they keep bickering. She's like, "What did you tell him? What did you tell him? What did you tell him that would make this good?" And he's like, "More than I wanted to. Okay, Savage knows more than he should, but he needed something to give the Aragon dwarves. Otherwise, they were just going to torture and kill him, right? Right?" And she like, she kind of splutters at that because she doesn't have a great rebuttal. But finally, he's like, "Look, everything's going according to plan. Everything's going to work out. It's all going to come up daisies, okay? Okay. I reached out to my contact in heaven. There's no other heavenly contact coming. They're going to be here as soon as they can. And so they're going to come, give us some more information, and kind of let us know the status of what's going on up there. It's all going to work out." And finally, things start to like resolve a little bit here as they kind of fully calm down. Like the last thing he says is, "It's like, why'd you tell Kubo? Why'd you tell Kubo? I told you that in confidence, and that was just me being fine. And it's clear that he knows that I want him to go to heaven, and I didn't want to tell him that. I didn't want to tell him that. Why did you tell him that?" Ariana goes like, "Because we're supposed to be family, because he's supposed to know. Like, what's the problem in telling him?" "Well, do you know what the problem is? Butler told me he just did a line of cocaine. He hates the stuff. He never does that. He only did it when his brother pressured him to do it. And then immediately after you tell him to go to heaven, what does he do? A line of cocaine." He was just acting out. He'll do better things and balance it out. He's like, "Will he? I don't know.
Kubo's
That's
gonna
his
leave now.
job."
Kubo's gonna leave now. Kubo's gonna leave now. Kubo's gonna leave now.
That's just like,
Daza could do whatever. Kubo's gonna leave.
Go to hell for doing cocaine? What the heck?
amazing.
Daza, love you, bye. And then I understand that, like, for sake of time, because I want Leo to get
Yeah.
to do his thing and everyone, I'll say that, like, the rest of this, so long as nobody, like, catches him when he leaves, I'll roll if you want me to, but if not, he's just gonna, like, probably go. I'm assuming that there's somewhere in the mansion where, like, he would have sparred, like, they all would have sparred together. He's just gonna go to the sparring room, and he's probably just gonna start to, like, do some really sick workouts. He's just gonna go ham. And if he says Deza again, like, if she eventually comes and finds him, she's gonna tell him, "We're gonna get Savage back, and we're gonna beat the shit out of him," and that can be the end of it.
You're gonna get
Okay.
Savage back. That's what you tell her.
Yeah.
Amazing. Roll me a sneak check. You can do this with advantage.
Okay, good. Oh boy. Where's my sneak? My stealth? Okay.
Stealth.
I think we're good. I got a 21 for stealth.
Okay. I was gonna just double check on that because they got double 18s with disadvantage, and so they got
My
a
dad
very
is
high
like this
roll.
much. So
What?
I, even with advantage, 21 was my highest. So, like, I mean, if this changes a bit, because Peregrine caught me, that's fine. He can
No,
catch
he
me.
doesn't. He doesn't. I'm saying he almost did. I'm saying like there was a moment where they're like, huh, it's a silent spell. It's fine. Just like there's a moment where they almost hear you. But yeah,
Later on, sorry.
Uh-huh.
Later on, Kubo is worried that Deza now. Well, he feels relieved because now Deza actually does know. After he told her, "I'm gonna tell you everything," and he's like, "Oh, how do I tell my sister that mom and dad want me to like?" Anyways, yeah. So I guess that worked out. I don't know if she'll bring it up, but it's up to her.
There's some awkward conversation for sure. But yeah, unless you tell Deza actively, we can assume that. Yeah. Do you tell Deza about that? Do you kind of explain that?
Only if she brings it up. I mean, she heard it. So if she wants to bring it up, he will interact. If not,
I think she just puts that in the back of her mind that like he has plans for you. Yeah. Yeah, so you go work out for a bit, punch some stuff, use your sword. It sounds like you're more of a sword user. Yeah.
No, if I find out this is happening, hearing the fighting or whatever, I am going to have the brilliant idea of attempting to unlock my hidden combat potential, Jason Bourne style, and I'm gonna willingly step in the ring to get my ass kicked by Kubo.
Okay, so I'm just going to do a DM step in here and say you do not hear the argument, but you do hear Kubo like frustratedly working out way more intensely than he normally would. Yeah, we'll just do like, okay, just for the fun of it, both of you roll me 3 attacks to hit as if you were rolling like just like punches. And we'll see how this pans out.
Natural 20.
While you guys are rolling that, Leo, we're gonna go back in time a little bit. You've just finished your coffee cake. Everyone else has left the table, and we'll say you're going back to like study or whatever you'd want to do that day. What's on Leo's mind, kind of as everyone else is having their little panic attacks and everything?
Okay, so this is now 4 days later, right? Yep. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think with all the time I've been here and studying and doing my own little private research, I think it's time for me to finally put it to the test. So I'm gonna go down to the basement, to the dungeon area where I've had some prep and cleaning because I'm clean. And I go down. I want to bring my books with me, and I'm gonna try to create a summoning circle again.
Yeah. Roll an arcane check here. Just like your arcane spell modifier. And you can do this with advantage. But I will let you know, like this is like a take 20 situation. The lowest you'll get is a 15. So basically I'm giving you the opportunity to get higher, but like your practice, you have all the time in the world.
24.
24. Okay, so we're going to come back to that real quick. I'm going to resolve this. So what's your ACs? What are your ACs respectively?
16.
A million.
Wow.
Oh, you're muted.
Kyle.
Oh, Kyle, you're muted. Sorry. What was your AC?
Oh, are we like wearing our armor and stuff, or are we just?
We'll say that this is just like brawling.
I could-
You guys are like shirtless, just kind of going at
Without-
this.
I'd probably still be wearing my coat because I never don't wear my coat.
That's
So
fine.
without my shield, it would be 18.
18. Okay. So 2 of those hits from Kubo lands, and then yours from you, all of yours will land. And so I want you to just roll, like, what's your strength modifier here?
-1.
Right, 1. So I think it's minimum damage of 1, even though healing
Yeah,
with this is hysterical. Yeah, Kubo, so what's your strength modifier?
My strength modifier is +6.
+6.
When I just,
Wait, +6?
It's probably a little high.
I don't. You can check
You
my.
can't be over 20.
I think you might be talking about your strength saving throw.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's your
What do you mean
modifier?
I have a 6.
So, like, your scores, your ability scores go to.
What's your strength
number.
score?
Yeah.
Your score 20.
17.
Oh,
17.
so +3.
+3. Yeah, so kind of an interesting thing. You're fighting Kyle. You've been in brawls and you're weak. Like, you don't like like, so like this is kind of like
There's always
unused.
weapons in my hand. You don't really, yeah.
This is kind of unused muscles. So you're like pop, 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 kind of gently, and you gotta like land 1 or 2 hits, but it's really slow. Kubo just like bam gets you a really good in the shoulder, bam gets you in the chest, like really solid hits. Like Kubo's practiced, Kubo's like very ripped, and so you get like 2 strong punches that like hits your coat, and like you feel them, like they connect. You get the equivalent of like 6 points of damage with these 2 hits, and you only deal 3 points of damage to you, but like right at the end you do this.
It'd be 1 plus the modifier, so it'd be 4.
Oh, it'd be 4 damage? Yeah. So right at the end, like you do like a pop, pop, very gentle. You do this kind of reflexive thing where you like lock her arm for a moment, lock his arm for a moment, and then you go to like jab at her neck, and you realize like you stop, like your kind of flow gets interrupted, but like you didn't plan to do that. You kind of have like a hair trigger, like and like if you had fallen through, or if you'd like been able to let loose, you may have been able to land some weird thing on her neck. But like you're kind of disrupted there, and then she follows through with another punch. I'm sorry, I keep mixing up my thing, and like kind of pushes you back, and the arm lock breaks on his other arm. But yeah, there's like a weird moment of like, okay, there might be something deep in there, and then there are like all these memories start coming back of like brawls, or like things where like you're mid brawl, or you're mid like fight in a thing, and you remember like you had this moment of clarity where you just like very deftly avoided some like bottle to the chest or something, and you thought it was just like adrenaline basically.
Good for Kyle. If we're done there, Kubo is in a. I say this as a joke. He's in a silly, goofy mood, but actually he's in a really pissy mood. So he's gonna like probably give you like a thumbs up, and then he's gonna go grab his swords, and he's gonna start just like hacking the sword training things to pieces, basically.
Yeah, Kubo is not pleased. He basically just like punches you several times and is like, I'm gonna actually hurt you if I keep fighting you.
That's what I want. That's what I want. Come on, let's go. No swords. I didn't hear no bell.
Kubo just disregards you. It's nothing personal. He's just working through some trauma. Actually, he would probably just be like, "It's nothing personal, Kyle. I'm just working through some shit right now." And then he goes and grabs his swords. Yeah.
Well, then Kyle's gonna get in a bar fight, I guess.
I think Deza would spar with you. We'll leave this
Okay.
alone.
Yeah, fight with Deza. Let her feel
Yeah.
special.
Okay.
There's a lot of sparring happening. Okay.
I'll go. Deza, if you kick my ass, I'll show you some stuff in my workshop.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go.
Cool. You all get beat up. Finally, we get to back to Leopold. 24 Arcana check. this is probably one of your first times making a summoning circle like this. Tell me, like, what are your goals with the summoning circle? Like, because you've been studying like crazy. A lot of these books in this house are very angelically oriented. Yeah, what, like, go through Louis Leopold's design process. I don't know if you can hear me. Leopold, are you there?
I was talking this whole time. Oh my god.
Oh,
Sucks.
I was explaining everything.
oh no, sorry, it didn't go through.
Okay. Where was I? Okay. So so since I've mastered and studied mainly on demonic creatures and entities, and I spent the majority of my time here now understanding the flip side of the celestial world and how these beings are, I'm going to try and bring a celestial forth to me and see how my first take goes and see what I need to alter
Yeah,
within my work.
amazing. So you've like all of your summons so far have been demonically oriented. You know, that's where you took the majority of your classes from your father, Iala. You know that his last name was Iala, or not Iala, is that right?
It was a
Yes, Barossa Iala. And then so this is kind of using another section of your tattoos, which is the Dorn side, which is kind of the group that's associated with the angelic forces and summoning and locking those in. You do your mother proud. You make this incredibly intricate, you know, portal, and a lot of like hell portals are they're equally intricate in the sense of like they're difficult to make, but they aren't as persnickety. You know, you can kind of go wild and, you know, do things, but this is like very, very coiffed. This summoning circle is very exact. And I think you've like done all the prep work kind of up to this point, and you're looking at it, and it's textbook. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Like you have very good reason to be proud of yourself for the work that you've done, even though this is one of your first times doing a summoning this intense. Note: are you going to tell anybody about the summoning you're doing?
um at this moment, no.
Amazing.
Nobody would.
So you put out the candles, you do all this stuff. Do you start the summoning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Immediately.
So the summoner role is a very interesting one, and kind of we've talked about this before because it's basically you're a divine caster that studies like a wizard. You're a divine caster that rather than calling on divine forces through like negotiating with them like contracts for yourself, you negotiate contracts like a wizard. Like you make multiple different short-term contracts with different entities. And your experience with like doing this with hellish forces is very much like, here's my offer, here's the length of the thing, here's what happens if you are to die or hit 0, you know, life points, all that kind of stuff. And you submit that, and they're just basically like, yeah, cool, great, yeah, here's the guy. You know, like emotionally you get that feeling as you like submit this offer. When you submit it to heaven, there's a lot more like twittering. There's a lot like, oh, subsection C, actually you need to dot that T. I mean, totally normal mistake, you know, happens all the time. Like there's a lot more like, oh,
Nitpicky.
so, yeah, a lot more nitpicky. Like with hell, they're like, we get to get out of hell? Hell yeah, going. And for heaven, it's like, okay, we've got like 12,000 angels that might fit that description. We're gonna like start sorting through them. And so you're just sitting at the summoning circle